Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nana Ganko, and welcome back to another what I want to talk about. And what I want to talk about this time is actually a story idea I'm coming up with that I think might sound kind of strange to you guys. You're like, what are you coming up with this time? You're already still working on your other two stories, and you're working on this brand new one shot. What else could you be thinking of? Well, let's say something hit me over the head a couple days ago, thinking about a certain episode to a anime that I thought, well, how could this be taken a little bit differently in another perspective in another anime altogether? Now, if you guys aren't aware of Pokemon XY, you guys are not missing out on much. I decided to watch Pokemon X and Y because I was obsessed for a period over the shipping of Ash and Serena. I thought it was a cute shipping, especially when I heard that she actually pulled off the kiss and switch situation. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna check this shipping out a bit, and I'm gonna watch Pokemon X and Y while I'm doing it. Anyway, there's an episode that's fairly early on in the show. It's an episode that takes them through this mysterious cave, and the walls in the cave are like mirrors. Well, in the episode, Pikachu gets taken through the mirror, and Ash has to go in and find his Pikachu. Well, the world is a completely different looking place. It's a lot more brighter, the colors are more saturated, and the fact that his friends have the complete opposite personalities. And Serena is a bit of a tomboyish, rough person. Eureka is a bit of a more polite and demeanored person, and Clement is a more smartassy and bit more of a bigger know-it-all than he already is, and freaking uses a dowsing rod to solve problems. Yeah, that was weird. But the reason I'm talking about this episode at all is because I had thought of it for GX. You're like, why would you be thinking of it for GX? How could you make this any different than what was already in the anime? Well, my thought for the story would have been, because it's on an island, I was thinking, oh, let's do something that could be easily missed. Like, I don't know. I actually came up with a summary for this. Tell me if you guys think this is okay. I had this put on my phone. I will read it to you. This is the story. This is the actual title, well, working title of the story. I don't have it written down on my story app yet, so I have to read it to you guys from my phone. This is called The Tide Pool Resurgence. Now, I looked at the word resurgence, and it's something along the lines of something that happens every once in a while, but it often comes back in occurrence. So I basically made it this. Every 100 years beyond the cliffside of Duel Academy lies the mystic tide pools that appear I missed a word here. This time that connects to an alternate world. Be warned, once you enter these tide pools, you have only 3 days to return before the tide pool vanishes. Well, my story for that idea was that Jaden, Jesse, and Cyrus actually plan on going fishing down by the beach. And what they were gonna do was, as they were climbing down the cliff to go to the beach, Jesse falls, lands basically on top of a cave that wasn't there before. And inside the cave are these tide pools that show their reflections in it. Basically going sort of numbers by the anime episode, I was gonna have it where one of them is pulled into the tide pool and the other goes in and saves him. I haven't decided who should have gone, who gets pulled in first. I was thinking it might be Jesse who gets pulled in first because, well, the savior complex with Jaden and Jesse is very strong, so it's like, oh, might as well use that to my advantage. So yeah, it would be him going in and Cyrus having to run to find help to get his friends back out of there because he's unable to enter the tide pool the way those two went in. And basically, it takes it to a version of Duel Academy where I did this completely opposite of what the show did. Is they did it with personalities. I'm doing it with gender. You're like, wait, what are you talking about? It's like, I'm doing it with gender. Basically, all the characters have their gender swapped. So they are basically a lot of the characters are female versions of themselves. It's like, how do you make that kind of difference when it's characters like that? Well, I just came up with it to be interesting. I thought it'd been an interesting idea. I haven't started writing it yet. This is the opening ideas for it. And I want it to be a little dense. So I don't know if I should have it as a one-shot or if I actually should make chapters for this. I wanted to start writing on it and see where that went. But the other reason I wanted to bring you guys back is to talk once again about Friday nights can be toxic. Now, I started writing back up on this just a couple days ago, and I think I got some more stuff I wanted you guys to check out. Let's go ahead and go back to where I was at and read up from there. What I did. So the last line I put was the only person they could assume pulled this was Hasselberry, considering he loved to pull pranks at parties. This is where I left off, and this is where I will be continuing to read it to you guys. Sadly, Hasselberry was nowhere to be seen. Bro, why do you have makeup on? Cyrus pointed out as the brunettes finally freed the poor boy from his duct-taped imprisonment. Jaden, looking almost pissed, doesn't look at his best friend, his gaze almost like a finger poking at his head, trying to get him to answer. So, where's everybody else? The two-toned brunette turns to his upperclassmate with a question. Atticus blinked his eyes. You name a place, somebody's passed out there. Jaden slammed the palm of his hand into his face, a groan escaping his cherry red lipstick-stained lips. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. What even happened last night? Jaden looked around the room and noticed his laptop was open on the table. Luckily, nobody had damaged it, but looked as if someone had been posting using his computer. The brunette scurried over to it in a hurry, picked it up, and noticed someone had logged in to their Facebook account. Oh shit, your sister posted pictures all over the place. Atticus did a groan this time as he walked over and looked over his shoulder, grimacing over the pictures as Jaden scrolled through the events. And one picture was of Chaz doing body shots off of Zane Truesdale, Cyrus's older brother and their upperclassmate. In another, Hasselberry was topless as he was bench pressing his coffee table with two smaller students on top of the table. Damn, what a show off. Atticus murmured under his breath as Cyrus joined them, apparently having shooken life back into the unconscious Chaz. Who the hell did this to me? Chaz roared behind them as he looked down at his torso, which was covered in marker to make him look like he had a tux on. Looks like a sick joke to me, Cyrus inputted as Chaz went to the window and looked outside. Dude, Bastion's passed out in the yard with underwear on his head. Wasn't he the DJ last night? Chaz jabbed his finger out the window as the group, temporarily forgetting the laptop, to see the damage done to Jaden's backyard, which had the brunette about to faint where he stood. There were flamingo floaties in the pool which held unconscious or passed out students. There was burnt meat on the barbecue. Luckily, the fire must have died out before a fire broke out over the burnt sausages, brisket, and loins that Jaden remembered buying for the party. The yard was littered with empty alcohol bottles and red punch glasses. If Jaden wasn't sure of it before, he was damn sure now that someone broke into his father's liquor cabinet. Holy Karibo, my house is trashed! I actually loved coming up with that line, I swear to God. The brunette nearly pulls a chunk of hair out of his head if it wasn't for Atticus prying the surprisingly strong hand from the boy's head. Chaz brought up the subject from earlier once more that Atticus mentioned. Hey, isn't that the transfer student from America? And why is he topless in your bed, Jay? Jaden facepalmed himself again, his face turning flushed as his ears burned. Apparently their talk was loud enough to the brunette that he started what the hell was I doing in the I meant stirring. Fucking spelling can't fucking work. Stirring, stretching slightly in his sleep before he slowly blinked his eyes open, his emerald green gaze passing over them in slight confusion and awkwardness. Sam, hell? Why you fellas staring at me like that? To Jaden's surprise, the naked boy in his bed had a southern accent which was still thick with sleep, so most of his words didn't sound completely right. He sat up a bit, noticed there was a breeze before he looked down. In mere seconds, his face exploded with bright red as he pulled the comforter closer to his body and looked at the guys accusingly. Which one of you twisted jerks took my clothes? The four guys looked at each other before Jaden approached the bed, but not touching it. You were like that when I woke up. The brunette got a look at Jaden's face, confused confusion first there, which melted away to a slight blush and a slight smile. I think I remember you somewhat. I think you made out with me after your girly friend dressed you up in makeup. The brunette looked down at his clothes, making a choking laugh noise. Why are you wearing my clothes? He couldn't hide the grin that broke across his face as the brunette nearly had a freak out that he was wearing a stranger's clothes, his mind glazing over the fact that the two of them had apparently made out last night. I don't know! I woke up this morning and I was wearing them. Where the hell are my clothes and why the heck did you take yours off in the first place? Jaden, not giving a damn anymore, took off the clothes he wore before diving headfirst into his closet to put on a tattered, torn band shirt and cut-off blue jeans. That's much better. He looked up in time to see the brunette getting on the clothes that made him look like a porn star, but the emerald-eyed male to look like a god. His face flushed red as his eyes darted away quickly before he started to drool over how his body looked in the clothes that clearly accentuated his figure. You probably don't remember. The brunette puts his hand out to Jaden, who peeked at him, reaching his hand out to him in return. The name's Jesse. Nice to meet you. Jaden looked into the male's green eyes, a smile forming on his face as he got lost in his eyes for a second, nearly forgetting his own name. Jaden, this is my house. That last word got Jesse hot under the collar as he realized he had been naked in his new friend's bed at a party. How drunk was he last night? He looked at himself in the mirror, laughing. Whatever happened last night? See, the two of us got into some mild hanky-panky. He gestures to the hickeys and lipstick marks on his neck, which made Jaden look appalled, and Chaz and Cyrus turned red with laughter. I'm never drinking again. The brunette hides his embarrassment as the five guys leave the bedroom, Cyrus taking the laptop out of the room with them. Okay, you guys, what do you think of that so far? I want to cringe so bad. I don't know how flirting looks. I don't know how suggestive it looks. I do not know how to write relationship stuff very well. So please tell me this sounds okay. I'm fucking embarrassing myself telling you guys about this story as I'm writing it because I like this one shot I came up with. I like that I made it based off of the freaking music video AMV slash whatever I found on freaking YouTube. Guys, God. Every time I watch that video, I come up with something new to put into this. And by God, I'm gonna end up with something very interesting by the end of this. We haven't even gotten through a lot of the parts where it's flashbacks to what they were actually doing last night. This is just the next day situation. I can't wait to get to the flashbacks where they're freaking doing drunk games and stripping and everything. Oh, I can't wait for that. That's gonna be the fun part. Ah, but as I keep finishing this up, I will keep reading it to you guys, and then you guys can tell me how you think of it as a whole. Uh, anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.